this thing on? Oh. And action. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I will be discussing the case United States versus Jason Van Eman. Jason Van Eman was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He had a very normal upbringing and pursued studies in business management and management information systems at the University of Oklahoma, equipping him with a strong foundation in business principles. Unfortunately, he would not learn to carry those principles into his future ventures that would eventually become his downfall. This is what Jason Van Eman looks like. He looks like an evil CEO from a company who's up to no good. Jason Van Eman decided to pursue a career in acting, so he began taking roles in low-budget films, the first being Regarding Billy in 2005. His time as an actor was very short-lived, in which, according to IMDb, he only had 9 movie credits. He decided to be behind the camera, not as a director, but as a producer who would pick up projects and finance them. That's where the money was at from Van Eman's perspective. Eman had a bigger scheme up his sleeve. Jason Van Eman partnered up with his colleague Benjamin McConley, which is this guy. Take a look at him. He looks like trouble. He is trouble. They both started Weather Vane Productions circa 2013, a production company that was meant to bring film and theater productions with the purpose of bringing top-of-the-line entertainment. From the get-go, their true purpose of Weather Vane was to get as much money as they could from their investors. In order to get money to fund their scheme, they promised to match their investors' contributions, and to appear as a legitimate business, they began to produce small-budget films, which was a great technique to build credibility for their company. Van Eman and McConley could not do this alone, so they recruited someone else who had experience in the financial world. Here comes Benjamin Raphael, who I do not have a picture of because he was very a private person, but he was employed by Wells Fargo. As if one Benjamin was not enough, they had to go out and get a second Ben. Benjamin Raphael had experience in how to make documents look authentic due to being employed by Wells Fargo, who would still represent himself as an employee of the bank after his termination in 2015. This was to assure investors that they were being handled accordingly and legally. Looks like Jason Van Eman had put together his band of thieves so their fun could begin. From 2013 to 2018, Jason Van Eman and his co-conspirators were able to scheme over $60 million from their investors, who trusted them with their life savings to create something special. Instead, what those guys created was a living nightmare for their investors, while they were off getting luxury cars, fancy homes, and exotic trips. They basically were teenagers who were given mommy and daddy's credit cards, and that credit card was in the form that looked like this. Weather Vane Productions. What a bunch of losers. Through the years, they did manage to produce a fair amount of low-budget films to keep up with their image. Some projects were slightly bigger, as in Jane Got a Gun. Here's the film poster for that. Starring Academy Award winner Natalie Portman, which was released in 2016, and as well as The Tale, starring Academy Award winner Laura Dern, which was released in 2018. The fact that they work with Princess Padme from Star Wars and Ellie Sattler from Jurassic Park is a nerd's dream. Yet most of their projects were generally not well received and did terrible at the box office. The negative reviews and not making their budget back did not matter to Jason Van Eman and his co-conspirators, because they did their part in producing the film with the minimal amount. Even cast and crew complained that there was not enough in the budget. Less money spent on the production and more money spent on their superficial lives. Since 2015, there were losses from several investors that Van Eman and his buddies were not keeping their end of the bargain. This was looking to be the beginning of the end of their exploits. In 2019, Jason Van Eman was arrested along with McConley and Raphael. In 2022, Jason Van Eman was found guilty of conspiracy, 18 U.S. Code 371, wire fraud, 18 U.S. Code 1343, money laundering, 18 U.S. Code 1956. McConley and Raphael both pleaded guilty, but Jason Van Eman did not. This showed that Van Eman had no regrets of his actions and no remorse for what he did to his victims. To scheme $60 million from people and not feel a thing is terrible. Jason Van Eman is currently serving a sentence of 21 years and will have to pay $9 million in restitution to a few victims. As the old saying goes, there ain't no business like show business. And cut. Stingers up.